Now we will take a look at variables in Java. Variables in Java. So now first let's understand the meaning of the word variable. So the word variable means something that can be changed. The word variable means something that can be changed. This is the meaning of the word variable. So anything whose value can be changed is called as a variable. I'll repeat. Anything whose value can be changed is called as a variable. Then this is same thing. Variable is something that varies or changes. So variable something that varies or changes. So variables in Java. So the variable is the basic unit of storage in Java. I'll repeat. Variable is the basic unit of storage in a Java program. It is defined by a combination of identifier, type, and an optional initializer. So we will take a look at each of these: identifier, type, and initializer. So now let's understand what exactly is a variable. So given our computer's memory, if you want to store some data in it, so let's suppose we want to store the number 5 into a computer's memory. So we did it, we stored the number 5 in a computer's memory. But now in future point, if I want to add the number 2 to the number 5 which I have stored earlier inside my computer's memory, then how do I access this 5 stored inside my computer's memory? I need some mechanism to access the data which I have stored in my computer's memory. So that's where the concept of variables come into picture. So variables are named storage locations. So variables are named storage locations. So let's understand what it means by named storage locations. Here, this block where the store 5, where 5 is stored, is a storage location inside the computer's memory. So this block where the 5 is stored is a storage location. Then named. So when we make a variable pointing to it, so if we declare int a equal to 5, so we are making this a point to this memory location where the value 5 is stored, or speaking more precisely, we are naming this storage location as A. So we assign the name A to this particular storage location. So whenever we try to use now A, then our computer would understand that we are trying to use a storage location with the name A. So it would go inside its memory and search for a storage location named A. So when it finds a storage location named A, it will give us its value. So when we want to use the value stored at this memory place, the value 5, we have given this memory place a name A. So we would use that name A, and this operation could be performed. So this is the concept of variable. So variables are a named storage location. Named storage location. These are important. Storage locations, the place where we store something. So here in our case we are storing data, and named. So these storage locations are given names so that they could be identified at any point in a program. So we have seen the examples. One more thing. So now that we assigned a name, we also need to declare the type of the data. Like we have seen in data types, we need to tell a computer the type of data. So what we do while declaring a variable, we first declare the type of data we want to use. So suppose we want to use data of type int. So we want to store an int value. So what we do is, first we declare the type of data we are going to use. First we declare the type of data we are going to use. So we first write int. So let me write down the steps. First we declare the type of data we want to use. Then we give the name we want a storage location to be named. So the second step is we give a name that we want to give to a storage location. So here we give the name A to our storage location where 5 is stored. So we can give any name which follows Java's naming convention, which we will take a look later. So here any name. So I can even give my data or something. Any name that follows the naming convention is valid. So this is also called as identifier. So we'll look at that part later. So we give the name and then we give a semicolon to indicate the end. So here, as we saw, that a variable is defined as a combination of an identifier. So the identifier in this case is my data, because this will be used to identify the data. It is the name of the data, where the name of the storage location where the data is stored. So it helps us identifying the storage location where the data is stored. So this my data, or here this A is an identifier. A here in our case is an identifier. So a variable is a combination of an identifier, a type. We declared a type here. So we declared the type of the data. So it is collection of an identifier, a type, and an optional initializer. Optional initializer. Initialization means assigning of value. So in our data types lecture, we saw that we assigned the value 5 and this worked. So what we did was we stored the data 5 inside a computer's memory, and we gave it the name my data, and the type of that data is int. So the type of the data, the name of the storage location, and the data. So this equal to 5 part is optional. So even if we don't give this part and run our program, we won't get any error. So our program runs fine and we are not getting any output because we are not doing anything to show as an output. So we aren't printing anything or doing anything to be shown as an output. So our program just runs, it declares a variable of type int inside its memory without any value, and then it exits. So a combination of identifier, type, and optional initializer. So just as we saw, suppose we want to store some data in a computer's memory, say the number 2. Now that we stored it, so we wanted to store say 5, or even if we wanted to store 2, we would store it, and for identification purpose, so we store the number for some purpose, and to fulfill that purpose we will use we will need to use it. So that suppose we stored the number 2 inside a computer's memory, we would need to use it for some operation. So how do we tell a computer that we want to use the number 2 that we stored earlier? So we saw the answer to this question just now. So I hope it's clear. So now we also saw a declaration of variables in Java. So in Java, all variables must be declared before they can be used. So all of the variables must be declared. So if I am not declaring any variable, and if I am trying to use a variable, so suppose I am trying to use a variable named my variable. So when we try to execute, it gives us an error that my variable cannot be resolved to a variable because it cannot find any storage location with the name my variable. So it gives us an error that it cannot find an variable with the name my variable. So we need to declare variables before we can use them. So the basic form of variable declaration is shown here. So type. So this type could be what we saw int. When we declared a variable, we wrote int. So this int is a type. Then we saw identifier. So we wrote int a. So this a is our identifier. Then we saw optional initializer. So equal to, we gave the value 5. So this part is optional, but we saw how to do it. So type identifier, type identifier, and optional initializer. So in this pattern we declare a variable. Let's move on. So now let's look at examples of variable declaration. So int a, we just now saw that when we do this, only a variable named a is declared and our program exits. When we do this, we have also used this. So int b equal to 3, it declares a variable named a and assigns it a value 3. It declares a variable with name, sorry, here it's b, not a. We are declaring a variable b here. So it declares a variable named b and assigns it values 3. Then there is this style of declaration int c comma d equal to 5. So in Java, if we want to declare multiple variables, so let's suppose we want to declare some 100 variables. So every time we would have to write int and then something variable 2 like this. So we would have to repeat this for 100 times. So there is no need to do this. In a single line we can declare. So here we declare the type of the data, then in this single line we can define multiple variables and separating them by comma. So we separate them by comma and then we give var2 or var2. So this name follows Java's naming convention, so we will take a look at them later. So this, and we can assign this a value, and when we try to access it, it is perfectly fine and our program runs. So what this does is it declares two variables named myData and var2 and assigns var2 the value 4. I repeat, this statement declares two variables of type int. The variables are named myData and var2 and var2 is assigned with the value 4. So I hope that's clear now. So this is a similar example. Declares variable named c and another variable named d and initializes d with the value 5. So now let's take a look at the declaration of floats. So float f equal to 123.456 f. This f is important. So in the data types we have seen it. So let's again see it. So if we want to declare, we use float to store floating precision values. So if I want to declare float variable f equal to value 4.5, so suppose we declare it like this, we have given a value 4.5 and when we try to run this, we get an error because it says cannot convert from double to float. So just as we know, in the case of float data type, this 4.5 can be interpreted as float as well as as float and double. It can be interpreted as float and double. So how does a computer know that we are trying to use float or we are trying to use double? So by default it assumes that this 4.5 is double, but we are trying to assign a double value to a float variable, so that cannot happen. So we need to tell a computer specifically that we are trying to use a float value. So for that we would give the letter f here. So whenever it encounters the letter f, it would understand that this value is to be represented as a float value and it would do that. So now when we run this, it runs fine and we get our output. So this f while declaring float values is important. So whenever we initialize a float variable, we need to add f at the end to indicate a float value. Now let's take a look at double. So the declaration of variables of type double. So double D equal to 3.5. So it assigns the value 3.5 to the variable of D of type double. It assigns the value 3.5 to variable D of type double. So when we try to use this value for the variable, we get our output as 3.5. Here we are trying to print and it prints correctly. So in the case of float, we saw that we would need to give f here, but in the case of float, the default assumption of a program is the data would be of type double, so we do not need to specify anything here. So if we try to give something D here and run this program, then it works fine too. So we can even give D here, but this D is optional and the default interpretation would be double, so there is no need to give this D. So another thing you can try off is when we give this, if we give this, then would this work? We are indicating a value of type float and trying to assign it to a variable of type D. So what do you think would happen in this case? Would this run or would we get an error? So let's try to run this. So it works fine, and this is because of a concept known as typecasting. So if you might try this and you might encounter that it works with F. So yes, it works with F. It's fine for it to work, and it follows a concept known as typecasting, and we will take a look at typecasting in some later video. So now let's move on. So now we are trying to declare a variable char c with the value x. So it declares and initializes a char variable with value x. So let's see. We want to declare a variable char c with the value x, and when we try to print the variable c, we get our output as x. So this works fine. Now note the single quotation marks here. Whenever we are trying to use character type or char data type, we need to specify the data in single quotes. If we do not do this and just simply write x, so it will try to see x as a variable. So by default, it would see any character as a variable. A program would see any characters as variables, but we need to specifically tell that don't interpret this as a variable, take this as a character value. So to do that, we would write them in single quotation marks, and a computer would interpret it as a character value x. So we can also give here numeric values 65, and it gives us the output A. We have seen this case in the data types video, but just for now, Unicode mapping, for every character there is Unicode mapping. So whenever we write any character, so suppose we write a character A, then this A has an equivalent Unicode value. So for lowercase a, the value is 97, and then this gets converted into the sequence of zeros and ones. So I have explained this, but just for a revision purpose. Now note that we always need to give character values in single quotation marks. Now let's take a look at declaration and usage of variables of type boolean. So this statement would declare a boolean variable b without any value, and then this statement would define a boolean variable g with the value true. So it declares and initializes a boolean variable with value. So let's look it in code. So boolean b, so that now we will define the value, the variable boolean b. So when we run this program, program runs successfully without any error, and since it has nothing to show as an output, it doesn't show anything and it just ends. And then when we assign a value to a boolean variable and try to print it, here we are getting the value of the boolean variable true, and then another one is false. False we are getting here. So if we try to assign any other value like the number 1, and if we try to run this, then we would get an error. So cannot convert, type mismatch cannot convert from int to boolean. So this value is of type int and it's been trying to be converted into type boolean, so it cannot do that, so we get an error. Similarly, we have to note that the values true and false are without any quotation mark and all in lowercase. Nothing is in uppercase, everything is in lowercase. So if we try to give it true like this, then we would get an error. And if we would try to give this like this, the word true in lowercase, but it's in single quotation, even the after that we would get an error because it needs the value in proper format. When we would run this, we would get the proper output. So moving on, now let's understand something about comments in Java. So you've seen me use like this statements, the two forward slashes, and then I have written here. So this statement doesn't have any effect in the execution of code. It is what its name suggests. This line is a comment. So if you want to comment or include extra information inside a program, then we write comments in a program. So we write comments using these two forward slashes. So whenever our computer encounters these two, it understands that the line after it is a comment and it simply won't bother executing it. So if I remove this and try to run this, then it would try to run this whole statement and we would get lots of errors. So we declare comments using these two forward slashes. So there are two types of comments: single line comment. So this is a single line comment. Now if I want to suppose continue the comment, and if I want to write hello, and now if I try to run this, then it's trying to execute this word hello. It's trying to execute this line as a program statement, but if you want this as a comment, then we would have to write it like this. And let's say suppose you want to write some comments of 100 or 200 lines for a documentation purpose. So then we would have to do like this, single line comments for every line we write. So there is an alternative to this. We can declare multi-line comments using a forward slash slash star star slash. So using this pattern, whatever is written in this is a comment. So this is line 1, this is line 2. So if you run this, our program would execute just fine and these lines would be ignored. So this is the concept of comment and it is highly useful for documentation purpose. So documentation is we write information about a code, whatever we have done in our code, so that we would remember later what a piece of code does, and if someone else tries to understand the code, then it would be easy for the person to. So let's take an example. Documentation, just don't bother this. So we can see here there is lots and lots of documentation written about the object class. We don't need to bother about the class and anything. I'm just showing you the use of comments here. See, there are lots and lots and lots of comments to understand about the code. Now let's move on. Here, if you want to keep some extra data or text in a code, but we don't want it to be executed, then use comments. Comments are made in two ways: single line comment using the two forward slashes, and a multi-line comment using forward slash star, and it is ended by a star slash. Note that not like this to end, but a star and then to end. So this is important because if we give it this way, then we would get an error in our code. Let's move on. So here, let's see some variable declaration examples. So here, if we are trying to declare int x and we are trying to assign the value 0777, so a value starting from 0. So let's see what happens. Int x assigned 0777. I'm trying to print x. So it's printing 511. So why is this considered as 077 is considered as 511? So we would understand this in a later part of the video, but for now just understand that this int x and the value 0777 is a perfectly fine variable declaration. And now suppose if I remove this 0, and so we are getting the value 777, and if we add 0 here, so this 0 at the 0 as the first character or the first digit of a long number indicates a special meaning to the value, and we would see that later. So now let's see the next example. Here int x equal to 0786, because we would get a compile time number too large, so just as we saw 0777, and if we use 0786, then we would get an invalid error. So just to show this, I have shown this here. I would explain this later. Now here int x equal to 0xFACE. So if we are trying to use this, then let's see what happens. So int x 0xFACE. So it is giving us the output 64206. Because of this style of declaration, this has a special meaning to be interpreted, and it is interpreted in that way. So just don't bother, I am showing this because we can just for you to understand that even such type of declarations are possible. Such types of values can also be assigned to variables. We would take a deeper look at each of these in some later video. Let's move on. Here if you are trying to run int x is 0xBER, if you are trying to assign beer, it would work too, just like the previous one. And if you are trying to assign this like this here, you would get an error. So you can try executing all of these codes. The ones stated value here would work and the invalid ones won't work. Now let's move on. Let's see the declaration examples of float variable. So we have seen this example. If we are trying to assign the value 123.456, we would get an error because the character F, the alphabet F, is not present. So it interprets this as a double type. So float, when we add this F here, we would get a valid. This is valid, and this one without F is invalid. Then a declaration of double variables. So double D equal to 123.456. This is valid as we have seen this. So this 0123.456, this would result in valid also. So as I said, we will see this in later parts, but just for your understanding, there are various number systems like decimal, octal, binary, hexadecimal, and this 0 and this 0x. So these indicate that the number is binary, or the number is octal, or the number is hexadecimal, or the number is decimal. So these initial values are initial characters are used for the value, the type of number declaration purpose. So now let's move on to the declaration of Boolean variables. So Boolean b equal to true, we saw this. Then if we try to assign some other value, we would get an error. Then we also saw this example of true, so it cannot find the symbol, we got an error. And even for this, we tried this and we got an error. So I hope this is understood. You can try and error different values and get different outputs for a better understanding. So now let's do some activities. So here, which of the following is a valid float declaration? So let's see, if we are trying to use float f equal to 123.456, then would this be valid or invalid? So take a pause and try to guess the output of whether it would be valid or it would be invalid. So let's try. And if I try to print this, we'll use it. So what would be the output? So we get an error, type mismatch cannot convert double to int. So I have explained this previously, that by default it considers floating point values as of type double. So if you want to indicate the type float, then you would have to give f. So sorry, I have used here, so getting an error. Okay, so now the variable is of type float. So now let's see. If I run this, yes, we are still getting an error, so cannot convert from double to float. So by default, this 123.456 is being interpreted as a double value, and if we are trying to indicate that no, it's a float value, then we would have to give the letter, the alphabet F. So this F indicates that this value is of type float. So and then we can assign it to a float variable. If I run this, we get a proper output. So here this is invalid, the first one. Then if we try float f equal to 123.456d, so what would the output of this one be? Try to guess. And now then let's see. Here, if we try to give capital D, so what would the output be? Here we are getting an output, so cannot convert from double to float. So just see the error, cannot convert from double to float. So just as we use f to indicate float value, we can use double to indicate double value. So if I change the type of this to double and try to run this, yes, this would work perfectly, because this d indicates a double value. Even without the d, the program would work, because the default interpretation of floating point values is double. So this one is valid, and for the rest three of this double, these are as a homework. So try to run this and see the output you get, and you would understand this, why this happens, in a later video. Let's move on. So here are the answers for your reference. So here this is wrong, we get an error. We saw this one also is wrong, we saw here. Okay, I wrote this wrong, this one is wrong, got this wrong, not right. Okay, now this one also we got as wrong. Both of these are wrong. Then if you have tried to execute this, the previous, then for this one you will get an error, and for these two the output would be correct, or this would be valid declaration. So let's move on to some examples of char variables. So char ch equal to in single quotation a, so this is valid, we have seen this. Then if we try to declare without the quotation marks, we would get an error. If we try to use double quotations also, we get an error. So let's see this. Let's see. So if I just assign in single variable, in single quotes, and try to run this, it runs perfectly and we get a as our output. And now if I try to assign the value in double quotes, then we get an error. So this one is wrong, we would get a compile time error. Then char ch a b, so if we are trying to give multiple characters, then too we would get an error. So suppose a b, so if we run it like this, then too we would get an error, because char c, it can hold only a single character and we are trying to give multiple characters, so it results in an error. If we run this, then we get b as our output. So this one is invalid, and this case we have seen that when we assign numeric values, they are mapped to the equivalent characters following the Unicode format, and we get the output. So output of this, or the value of this ch, would be capital A, the uppercase A, then ch is equal to 655536. So we get an error here because the range is from 0 to 65535. So if we write this number 65535, then we would get a proper output. But if we write a 6 here instead of 5 at the last place, then we would get an error because the Unicode mapping ends at this number. So I hope that's clear. Now let's move on. So here is a chart of data type. So the data types we saw are also called as primitive data types, and there are 8 types. So these were further divided into the numeric types, the character data types. So we saw char here, then we saw the Boolean data types, which had the values true and false. Then the numeric types were further divided into integral and floating point data types. And in integral data types, we saw byte, short, int, and long. And in floating point data types, we saw float and double. So you might want to note this down or take a screenshot or something for further quick reference. So let's move on. So now there is something called as escape characters in Java. So when we want to present some special operations like enter a new line. So let's take the print statement here. Now if I am printing hello world here, so it prints hello and world in the same line. But if I want the word world on the next line, then what would I have to do? So here we have to use escape characters. So the concept of escape characters is used here. So there are various escape characters in Java for usage, like going on a new line while printing. So in our case, we want to print the word world on a new line. So it is similar to pressing enter on a keyboard. So the output could be achieved by pressing enter. So the another one is printing special characters like single and double quotes. So let's see this. So now if I want to enter on a new line, then I would use the escape character \n. So this \n means new line. So if I run this, then I can see that the word world is on a new line now, and this effect is similar as if we pressed enter here, the enter key, and then our output came on this new line. So if we want to print a new line, we use the \n. Then another one is \t. So let's look. So here we can see that the space between hello and world is increased. So if you print without it, then we can see that there is only one single space, the space which we have given here. But if we use the escape character \t, then we are seeing here 4 spaces. So this \t is for horizontal tab. So like we give tab in our typing, so this \t indicates this horizontal tab. So another one use is of, suppose I want to print the double quotation, these double quotation marks, I want to print them in our statement. So suppose I want to print a statement like my name is hello. So if I want to print a statement like this with these double quotations included, then how would I put, how would I print this? So if I try in the normal way, it got auto formatted. So now just like this, we are trying to print this. My name is, and then hello in double quotations. So let's see what output do we get. So we are getting an error because whenever we prompt to print something, we specify the value in double quotation marks. So this double quotation would indicate the end of this double quotation mark. So here it started and here it ended. Then it encountered the word hello and then again this started and ended. So it doesn't understand the meaning of this word hello. So now we can't print this double quotes directly. So we have to use escape characters. So we have to use a backslash and then the double quotes. So when we do it like this and print it, then we get our output my name is, and then these double quotes are printed here because we give escape character. So these escape characters gives double meaning to any existing characters. So even if you want to print single quotes, then also we can use this. So here we can print single quotes using the escape character or the backslash tool. So these are the escape characters: backslash n for new line, backslash t for horizontal tab, backslash single quote for single quote, and backslash double quote for double quotes. So now let us take a look at dynamic initialization of variables. So Java allows variables to be initialized dynamically using any expression valid at the time the variable is declared. So this is called dynamic initialization. So let us understand with an example. So here, suppose we have two variables, int a with the value 5 and int b with the value 3, int a with value 5 and int b with value 5, and suppose we want multiplication of these two numbers a and b. So what we would do is we will take a variable c and assign it value a multiplied by b. So this asterisk or star, this is a multiplication operator in Java. We will see this operator in great detail in the upcoming videos. So for now, just understand that this is a multiplication operator and it is used to perform multiplication of two numbers. So here, the multiplication of a and b is performed and the result is assigned to the variable c. This is called as dynamic initialization because the value of the variable c is not specified at the time of the program writing, but it is a result of a dynamic runtime operation. So it is dynamic initialization. This a equal to 5 and b equal to 3 is called as static initialization because the values are directly provided to these, but the value of c is not provided directly, but it is obtained as a result of an operation. So in this case the operation is multiplication of a and b. So if we try to print this, we would have our answer as 15, which is the multiplication of 5 and 3. So this is the same example we saw, and a is 3 and b is 5 and c is a plus b. So we would have 8 as our answer here of variable c. The value of variable c would be 8. So here c is a dynamically initialized variable. So I hope dynamic initialization is clear. So now let us understand why the word variables is exactly used to say, or why we use the word variables in Java. So as we have seen earlier, variable is something whose value changes. So in Java, we can change the value of variables. So let us understand this. So let's suppose we have a variable with a value So let's suppose we have a variable with the value 7. So our variable here is as a value 7, and then name a. So we here have an integer variable or int variable, and its value is 7. So now at any point, if I write the statement a assign 5, then the value of a would not be 7, but it would be changed to 5. So this is the concept. So here we have seen the definition of a variable. So variable means something whose value changes. So here the value of a changed. So it can change infinite times. As long as we want, we can change the value of a. So hence the value of a changes or the value varies. So we use the word variable to identify these named storage locations. So we have seen the definition of variable as named storage locations, but these named storage location, the name could be anything. But why we call variables? Because the value changes, so we call them variables. So I hope the use of the word variable is now clear. Now let us understand an important concept in Java, final variables in Java. So we define variables whose values can be changed. We just now saw that. Then what if we want to define a variable whose value does not change? So we don't want to change the value of a variable once it's defined. So to do that, we would need to create a variable whose value remains constant and cannot be changed. So we would need a variable whose value won't change for making a constant. So here as we saw that initially the value was 7, which was changed to 5. So I want to restrict this change. We want to restrict this change. Then what can we do to prevent the changing of values? So for that we have the concept of final variables. So a final variable is something whose value cannot be changed. So the value of a final cannot be changed. So the value of a final variable cannot be changed, and a final variable is declared using the keyword final. So a final variable is declared using the keyword final. So let us see an example. So we have here int a with the value, or let's check another. We have a variable double pi as 3.14, and let's suppose we are performing any calculation using the value of pi. So for simplicity, let us take that we are performing pi into 2. So here we get the output of a variable pi's value multiplied by 2. So now suppose we have defined the value of pi, mathematical pi, in our program, and we are using it for lots and lots of mathematical calculation. So now in the program, if at any point this statement executes and the value of pi is changed, then we would get a different answer here, and all of our mathematical calculations can go wrong. So to prevent this, we need to prevent the changing of this variable's value. So we need to change the value of this variable pi. So we need to make such a mechanism that the value of this variable pi won't be changed after it's defined once. So to do that, we use the final variable, and final variable can be declared using the keyword final. So to make a final variable, we would write final double pi assign 3.14. So this is the definition of a final variable. So if we run our program now, we would get 6.28 just as the output earlier. It is pi multiplied by 2. And now if I try the statement, we are trying here to assign value, change the value. So here we get error that the value of pi cannot be assigned. So once the value is assigned while declaration, we cannot change the value at any point in a program. So now this variable is constant. So final variables are also called as constant variables. So I hope the concept of final is understood. Uh, so any variable can be made as final in Java using the final keyword before its data type. So it is important to note that final keyword needs to be before the data type of the variable. So here in this case before int we have written final. So for any final variable declaration we need to follow the same pattern. Then now let's see some use cases. So which of these following declarations are correct? Final boolean b equal to true. So now let's try and run this. So try to guess the output of this now. So if we try to print b here, we get true as the output, which means that this declaration style is correct. So this one is correct. Now let's try this char final b c assign c. So char final b equal to c. So let's see this char final b equal to c. Now let's try to run this. Here we are getting error with the token delete, so with the word delete. So this style of declaration is wrong and we cannot use it. Then let's see this and this, the first one are same, so this would work. So you should be able to tell this by just by looking at it. So now let's see final int a and then a assign 5. Final int a and then a assign 5, and then we are trying to print a. So this works. So now you might wonder why this worked, because in the earlier case when we tried to change the value of a final variable somewhere in our program, it got changed. But take a look here, the variable a isn't initialized, it isn't given an initial value, so it's empty. So as it is empty, it can be assigned value here. So now after this, if I try, so now if I would have initialized the variable a, and then if I try to run this, then we get error because a already has the value. So if a isn't initialized, the value any data isn't given to a at the time of declaration, then it contains nothing. And then for one time, so once only, we can run this statement and assign value to variable a. So now if I try to do this, it would result in an error because the local variable a may have been already assigned. So here a is already assigned, so the change of value isn't permitted, so we get an error. So this is also correct, but it is not recommended to use this fashion as this style of declaration, because it creates unnecessary confusions. So try to avoid using this. Now let us take a look at separators in Java. So in Java, there are few characters that are used as separators. The most commonly used separator in Java is the semicolon. So a semicolon is used to terminate the indicate the end of a line. So here, as you can see, we have used semicolon after every line of program we have written. So this is because we want to tell our compiler or a computer program that this line has ended, and now after this whatever there would be is a new line, and you have to evaluate that new line. So to indicate the end of a line, we use a semicolon. So a semicolon is compulsory. So if we try to exclude the semicolon and not give a semicolon, then we would get syntax error, and it would say to insert a semicolon to complete the statement. So a semicolon is compulsory, and without it we get errors. So now let's see some semicolons. So let's take a look at parentheses. So these are commonly called as brackets, but this is the correct name for these. So parentheses, so used to contain list of parameters in method definition and invocation. So what is method, its definition, invocation, we will see in the upcoming videos. Then also used for defining precedence in expression. containing expressions in control statements and surrounding cast types. We would understand each of these meaning in upcoming videos. Then we have the separator braces. So braces are used to contain the value of initialized arrays. Yeah, so we would understand this when we take a look at arrays. Then we have, so it is also used to define a block of code for classes, methods, and local scope. So what does a block of code mean? So here, as we can see, we have written all of our code inside this pair of braces. So this can be called as a block of code. So if we want to represent a block of code, then we put it inside braces. Then we have brackets. So brackets are used to declare array types and also used to dereference array values. We will take a look at that. Then we have semicolon. So we just now saw the use of semicolon. Then we have comma. So comma separates consecutive identifiers in a variable location. Also used to change statements together for a for statement. So we will take a look at this later. So it separates consecutive identifiers in a variable declaration. So what does this mean? So if you want to declare multiple variables, if you want to declare multiple variables in a single statement, so let's suppose that we have to declare 100 variables in a program. So we would have to write this a, then another 199 lines declaring another 99 variables. So to avoid that unnecessary extra code, we can declare multiple variables like this. We put a comma and then we put the another variable's name and the optional value. If you want to put, then we put, else we ignore it. So this is perfectly valid. So we can use we can declare multiple variables in a single statement. So both a and e are variables of type int, and e is initialized with the value 3. So when we run this, as the program works, so there is no error. So this statement is working perfectly. So we can use comma to separate, just as it is said here. It is used to separate consecutive identifiers for a variable declaration. Then we have period. It is used to separate package name from subpackages and classes. Also used to separate a variable or a method from a reference variable. We would take a look at these. Then we have colons. A pair of colons. It is used to create a method or constructor reference. We would understand this later. Then we have ellipses. Ellipses indicate a variable parameter, so we would understand these two. And then the at symbol or the ampersand, it begins an annotation. We will see all of these in upcoming videos. Now let's do this code. So here I run this. Then here we have a variable of type byte with value 12, then a short variable. So here basically, to summarize variables, I have declared variables of all the data types we have seen now. So byte, short, int, long. So as you can see, long has a very long value here, and if you can see, there is a capital L. So just as we saw in the case of floats, we need to use F to indicate a float value. Here this L. So let's see, if we ignore the cell, would our program work? So it doesn't work. The literal is of type int and is out of range. So by default, any number written inside a Java program is considered as int. So it would try to fit this inside the integer range or a range of int, and since it is out of its range, we get an error. So if you want to do this, then we need to specify the letter L. So even a small l or a lowercase l would work. Yes, it works. So we need to specify L at the end of a long variable declaration, which has the range greater than int. So now float, we have seen float, then we have seen double. So here double is we are using double for more than 5 to 6 places of precision. Then we have the char variable c, and finally a boolean variable bool. So when we run this, we are simply printing every variable with its value. So byte variable, short variable, int variable, long variable, float, double, char, and boolean variables. So with this we conclude the topic of variables. So I hope that you have understood variables.